Hi, this is Magdalene. I want to just come on here and do a quick video of the finishing up of the dove and the incense burner. I'm here showing you all the colors I'm using, which were burnt umber, raw sienna, cadmium yellow, titanium white, and ultramarine blue. So here we have burnt umber, Mars black, raw sienna, cadmium yellow, titanium white, and ultramarine blue. And so then that's my reference image. So I start by using the burnt umber mixed with a little bit of Mars black to do a very dark shadow outline on the incense bowl. I guess it's called the censer, but we're going to call it an incense bowl. Then I'm adding a little bit of the raw sienna to add some mediums in between the darkest areas, some medium places. And then next I'm going to be dipping that raw sienna, mixing a little bit with the yellow, the cadmium yellow, to make some highlight colors. And then I'm just going around the edges looking at my reference image, and I'm painting on where I see highlights in the yellow. And then I'm going to come back with that yellow mixed with raw sienna to do the top of the incense burner. I'm adding more and more white to do yellow plus white to make little highlights. It's not straight white, it's yellow plus white. Then I'm doing yellow plus white to do the smoke, and then I'm coming back with straight white on top of that yellow plus white smoke, because the smoke is mostly white. As you can see under it, I used burnt umber mixed with white on the smoke to layer a dark area. Now I'm going to get into the dove. So I'm mixing some white with some burnt umber and some Mars black to make my first shadow shade layer that's going to be on the dove's body. I'm leaving a dark gray puddle, and then I'm adding more white to make a lighter gray. And now I have the lighter gray, and I'm looking at the shadows on the reference image. They are gray mixed with a little bit of purple, which I'm going to add later. First, I did an underpainting of that burnt umber where you can see where my brain saw the darkest areas on the bird to begin with. And now I'm going to go in and paint over that burnt umber with a gray. So I'm using a little bit of Mars black and mixing it in to make it even a little bit darker than what I had there. Now I've got 3 puddles of gray, a light, a medium, and a dark gray. And starting with maybe the medium gray there, just to kind of get a feel for what that's going to look like. And then it looks like I'm adding a little bit of darker gray, and I'm going down where I see the darkest areas from the reference image is what I'm painting in right now. So I'm not finished, you know, it's going to look a lot different when it's finished, but I'm layering my darkest areas first, and you'll see that I approach a lot of my painting that way. Layer in where you see the darkest areas. Now I'm going to some middle tones, and I'm mixing the gray with white and with a little bit of the raw sienna to make like a medium beigey gray, medium beige gray with some white, and I keep going lighter and lighter, doing the lighter beige around the head and around the neck and around the body. Careful not to lose my shading that I put in. Now, if I see that I start to lose that shadow, then I'm going to go back in with some darker and keep adding the shadow back in. But I want the shadow to not be so dark that it just completely contrasts with the white feathers. But I do want that shadow to be in there. So I'm layering white added to that gray. Just continue to add a little bit of white to the gray. So as you can see, it's a gradation of color, right? So it's not just the 3 colors that I originally mixed, but adding white. I don't want to lose or completely cover over the darkest areas that I put on there. I just want to add a little bit to it to blend it together. So I just keep working that. I keep looking at my reference image. I don't want to lose my dark areas, but I'm refining them. I'm just refining them. And now it looks like I'm going to, I added some blue and white to shape up the bird so that I could use the background color to shape the bird. That's what I had just done there. I'm adding more white and a tiny bit of yellow to bring out the highlights on the bird. Tiny bit of yellow mixed in the white to bring out some highlights. You're going to see later that I'm going to cover over a lot of that, but there's going to be a little bit of that yellowy highlight shining through. Going back, adding white to the yellow mix, lightening it up so it's like a creamy white. Still, I'm just going back and forth between what I'm painting and the reference image. This doesn't just, happen. You have to like work with it. It's a struggle that you have to go through. You don't just automatically know where to put the shadows and where to put the lights. You have to go through this process of editing. So I call it editing. I'm looking at it, looking at what I've painted, looking at the reference. So it looks like I skipped a part, but I had gone in and added some purple to the shadows where I had beige shadows. I added purple in there. So now I mixed up some purple and brown, and I'm doing that as the shadows, like lavender. You can mix it up with magenta and blue. I think I added some magenta to make that lavender color that I used for the shading on the column. So there's some blue, and then I took a brush and I sprinkled. Let's see, I'm gonna need to slow that down. And I guess I can't slow it down. I sprinkled the brown on top of the column so that it would look aged. Now I'm going in. I had painted my lilies gray and beige. So beige is, you mix the raw sienna with the gray to get the beige. And then I'm coming back with white on top of the gray and beige foundation that I had laid down. And I'm not completely covering it with white. Okay, I'm letting some of the gray and the beige shine through in the areas that I want to look shadow. So it looks shadow behind a petal. It's going to look shaded inside the lily is going to be shaded. And then I added a little bit of ultramarine blue mixed with yellow to make a green, or you could use some green, added it in with the gray, so it's a grayish green that I'm using to make those stems that come out. And then I used the raw, it's the raw sienna, might have been magenta,